Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Why We Heal. I'm Zuyapa. And before we get started, please take a minute to like and subscribe to the show and the channel, whether you're watching us on Spotify or YouTube or any other medium. And as you know, this is the show that you love, Why We Heal, where we are breaking down all things healing and helping you to bridge the gap and take a step in your own personal journey of healing, wherever you are now, to get to the next and the next and the next step. And today I'm really excited to have a very special guest, Dr Kate Bartram Brown, who is based in the UK. And Dr Kate is the co-leader of the Western World for Healers Academy, as well as a founder of Mini Me Yoga, a very successful businesswoman, and an all-around wonderful human being and goddess. So I'm really excited to talk to her about all things healing, get her perspective and her experiences, and see what we can share with you to help you in your life and your progression. Right?
Thank you. That
Thanks for being with us.
lovely. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be your guest. So thank you for inviting me, first of all.
Thank you so much for coming. So, okay, as we get started, the first question is always, what in your perspective is healing?
Oh my goodness, it's a big one, isn't it? This what it is, what is healing? I mean, to me, ultimately, healing meant inner peace. To stop the battleground in my mind, to stop the anxiety, to stop the questioning, to stop the pain in my body, all these different things. And I just wanted that peace. And so to me, what is healing is that state of inner peace and joy.
Mm-hmm. What do you find keeps people from that?
Well, yeah, another great question and quite a huge topic, isn't it? I guess I can only really speak for myself. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people over the years, and there's a variety of different things that perhaps keep people away from that. But ultimately, it's generally ourselves that are keeping ourselves away from that. So that's the good news. Everybody's like, oh my God, it's happening. Yeah, well, that's the good news. Because if it's only us stopping ourselves, then we can actually do something about it right away, because we're in charge of us. We are the ones that get to make a choice every single second. So in a moment's notice, you can give yourself permission to have all of that, to have the inner peace, to have the healing, to make a change. If it's in the hands of somebody else, then, well, that's a problem. And I think that's the most valuable thing that I've found, walking a path that's aided my spiritual health, my mental and emotional well-being, is that when I take responsibility and I make the choices, then ultimately everything is within my grasp. Everything's in my power. Everything is possible. So for me, that's a positive.
All right. Okay. So now you've seen an episode of this show at least. So that I like to go into the mind of the listener and really bring out the things that I can imagine they're thinking. And so, of course, it's just my imagination. But as I'm listening, what I'm thinking about is, even with my clients and people that I know, the person who's listening and saying, but I have so much, how do I just make the choice? If I change, then my family changes, or, I can't afford to break down. You have no idea how deep and painful this trauma is, this experience, and how, all the things that are actually keeping us from taking that responsibility. What can we say to those people to help them ease a little bit and to understand that it's okay?
Well, again, I understand, because I was there. I've been there. These are the things that I say now from my own experience. And I understand what it means to be so very ill you don't know that you're going to survive, or I know what it's like to run a business and not have an understanding of where the next mortgage payment's going to come from, or how you're going to support your staff that you are responsible for. I understand those situations, and I've been there. And these are very stressful situations, and they are very real for people. And I think one thing that I've learned over the years is never underestimate the power of a small change, a small change. Even if it's, I decide to do something different tomorrow. I decide that I'm going to walk 100 meters tomorrow rather than do no walking. It doesn't matter what the decision is, just make one small decision and stick to it and apply. We're very powerful beings, and actually we're very adaptable, and we can quantum leap in every area of our life very quickly. So this is really positive. We all know how easy it is to fall into a bad habit. We all know that, don't we? Everybody can relate. I can pick up a bad habit, no problem. We live in a world of duality, so that must mean we can pick up a good habit just as easily and just as quickly. So always start with something very small and very achievable. Set yourself up for success. As a businesswoman, in those times where I was so very stressed out, admittedly, I didn't have the tools to help support my mental and emotional well-being or my spiritual well-being. And so I did what I was taught in school. I got a good education. I got I networked. I did all the things that you're supposed to do to be successful. I had the nice car, I had the nice house, I had all that kind of stuff, very early on in my life. And I realized that I was completely at burnout, and that I was actually really unwell in not only my physical health, but my mental health. So I realized that you do have to look after yourself, and you do have to look after everything. It's so in that midst of angst, what can I do now? So even if it's eating a good piece of food the next day, even if it's that's going to influence everything that you do. It's going to influence your business, your relationships, everything, because everything is connected. So I think it's really important to not underestimate the power of making that one small decision that you want to change something and then applying it.
So it's sort of like conditioning yourself, like not thinking that everything has to happen overnight, or that you have to, like jump into a fire, but take small steps so that you can even just start experiencing that, oh, this was okay. This small change is happening and I feel better. And so you're like gradually starting to tip the scales, even for yourself, while also reprogramming your own mind and subconscious to say that I'm taking steps to better myself. So then that starts to coming forward in your life too.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you are paralyzed with, can't possibly do anything, you can still think positively. You can bring in a positive thought. Okay, what's my positive thought going to be? Every time I find myself going into a dip, you might decide, okay, I'm going to imagine my dog that brings me joy. Whatever it is, we can always do something. And we on that, in that moment, you doing something, you taking action sends ripple effects across the universe, and it sends out these signals to the universe, to all the all the energies on the planet, and it says, I am changing, I am choosing a higher frequency. And then that comes back to us as a higher frequency. And guess what happens? We move up that next level. And then you do it again, and it goes out, and then it comes back in, and then you do it again, comes out, comes back in. So, these are just basic, simple things that we all have at our fingertips that we can do, and lots of positive mindset speakers talk about these different types of things. And this is something that I, started to do early on before I found, the mystery school path, and before I, really got into deep level healing. And that's how my journey really started, is understanding the power of the mind. You can create real magic with this. So, to get the training to then cultivate and to sharpen that tool, that's what drove me really to walk and to progress so much on the path.
I'm glad you went there, because that's where I was going as well. Because when you start to send out those ripple effects, that is very often when you may come across or meet someone who can offer you something like the life activation, which is what we're doing at Healers Academy, which you co-run with Davina Lisa. And so this could also be a great time to talk about life activation itself, and how I'm not sure if you want to share how it helped you to make that switch, but I know we can definitely talk about all the experiences we've seen with everyone else, who were trying and starting to make those changes, and then had the life activation, and then, everything changed.
Yeah. Well, my goodness, this is my number one favorite topic. So here we go. I'm just like, okay, let's start, because I am a businesswoman. I want to do things effectively, efficiently. I'm also from the UK, we like things orderly. We like things to, in a certain way. We like all these different types of things. And when I found the life activation, I didn't understand what it had done. When I received the life activation, I didn't understand what it had done exactly, but I knew everything was going to be okay in that moment. Something inside of me told me everything was going to be okay. And now, with my years of training and of now sharing this with others, I understand why. And the life activation is probably the most effective tool I have ever come across for helping us get plugged back in to our original blueprint. Now, why is that important? Well, that's hugely important, because when we are plugged back in, we call it plugged back in, but really it means in alignment. It's in alignment. When you're in alignment, you can see clearly on your path all the little steps that you need to take. You might not understand why you need to take them, or indeed, might not understand where they're going to lead, but slowly but surely you take these steps, and all of a sudden your life is transformed in a very short period of time. And that is because all of the DNA, we have 24 strands of DNA, 12 physical, 12 spiritual. And when we do the life activation, it awakens 22 strands of the 24. Now, what that does, it helps us to remember what we're here to do, remember the contracts, remember all these things that bring us joy, but it also gets rid of the stuff that no longer serves us. So it's doing loads of different things all at the same time. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to bore everybody with all the step-by-step details.
I mean, as much as you want to say, people love it.
Yeah, and it's fantastic, because it's doing all of these different things at the same time. And I always make a joke, and say, look, its actual purpose is to help someone remember what their purpose is, to help them remember what their piece of the puzzle is, right? Because ultimately we all know, don't we, what our purpose is.
That's right.
The biggest question. It's so obviously that solved life activation. Let's just do it. That's great. But then it does a gazillion other different things. It brings healing in, it brings balancing in, it helps us flow abundance, creativity, it helps us connect to the universe, to our God self, to divinity. It helps us to elevate and raise our vibration. I mean, my goodness, what doesn't it do? I think would be would be an easier, question. So for me, that happens in one session. And that is the beauty of lineage and the power of a lineage. And I think this is really important to say, the life activation isn't something that somebody just made up overnight, right. And it's not what it is. The life activation is from the lineage of King Solomon. King Solomon, our lineage is over 3,000 years old, and King Solomon was very wise because he knew there was going to be a time when people would need to remember who they really are and what they're here to do. Because when we have that in place, we can live in a place that we call Shambhala, but it's been known as many different things. Utopia, Shangri-La, many different things. Basically, it means heaven on earth. So it means no suffering, that we're all living in joy. Of course, we'll have challenges and obstacles to overcome, but it's not a place of suffering, so very different world to what we're living in now. And the life activation is a key part of that process. And it comes through a very ancient lineage. And this was tried and tested for many, many, many years in King Solomon's temple, and was handed down to the high priests, high priestesses, and then filtered down from master to teacher over the years, until such a time would come when humanity was ready. And that time came in 1997 when the mystery school was open to the public, and that became no more secrets, no more lies. And a lot of your listeners will have heard about that time, and that's what that time allowed us to start sharing these tools so that everybody could enjoy them. So going back to your other question, when people are so, paralyzed or so, so overwhelmed and can't do anything, my recommendation is go and get a life activation, because you don't have to process it through the mind.
That's right.
You don't really have to think about it. You just have to find a practitioner, and we can help you do that. There's lots of them all over the world. And you sit down and you're in that session for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is. And you will receive that light and that ability to connect into your, to your purpose. And that will set you on a course to help you live a life of joy. So, the life activation for me is the number one healing tool. And, I'm a doctor of natural medicine, so I've studied a lot of different modalities and a lot of different systems. I've experienced a lot of different lineages and things like this. And this by far is the best, most effective tool that I have ever come across. So thank goodness, thank goodness we have it.
Yeah, I agree. I've had the same experience. Definitely the most effective for me. And when I first experienced it, and from what I've seen, across the board. So next question. For those who will say, well, what is it? Like, what are you doing? Are we talking? Like, what happens when I come into the room? Can we talk about, we don't have to go into the specifics, but can we talk about, the process of working with energy and what that really means?
Yeah, it can be hard to comprehend, can't it, if you haven't had this experience of working with energy. And a lot of people say, oh, is it like Reiki?
Yeah.
Or, is it, that's normally the, and when we're working in a ancient Hermetic lineage, it's actually a hidden science. So we have very specific protocols, and that is the science part. And then when a practitioner learns how to do those protocols, they are initiated, what we call initiated. So that gives us this authority or this energy or power to actually use this protocol and to create this change. And when we put that into place, that's the arts, that's creativity. So when we have the science and the creativity, and when they come together, it creates magic in the middle. So this is the basis of all of the teachings in the lineage. There will always be a science part. There'll be a protocol or an application. There'll be an expression, which will be the person that is delivering it, the light coming through and coming through that person. And it will create magic through an alchemical process. Through an alchemical process, you will see change in your life. So the life activation is a protocol. And when you come in, the practitioner will probably sit you down and, you know, invite you in and have a little chat, and you'll be received in this beautiful temple setting. And again, that sounds kind of strange to people that perhaps don't know, well, it's temple, you know, what's going on, you know. But in the oldie worldy speak, it basically just means in a very high vibrational energy. So imagine walking into the most gorgeous room that you've ever felt in your life. It's a really high vibration. That's where you'll be coming into. Because all practitioners learn how to set their energy and how to set their space so that their energy and their vibration is really high. And again, if you're not sure what that means, it means that it feels really good. It feels comfortable and safe. But also you can feel a little bit stretched, which is good also. You know, so you should feel that little bit of stretch. It's a little bit like going to the gym. You know, you feel that good. Oh yeah, I went to the gym. Yeah. But I also feel a little bit, oof, you know, I stretched and I can feel that I worked. So it's that feeling that we're talking about. So you'll be received, and then the practitioner will do the protocol. And for the protocol, you'll sit down and you'll stand up and you'll sit down. And some people have their eyes open, some people have their eyes closed. It doesn't matter. And you will then have your own direct experience. It's so hard to really describe it, because as you know, people just have very different experiences, don't they?
They do. I find that the specifics of their experiences are different, but there's some common things that I definitely see. One, people tend to feel heavy on their feet when the energy's coming in, like they ground in, you know, they can feel the energy. Two, their eyes get really bright, like permanently. And there was a third one. They find that they start relating to people differently.
It's good observations. Absolutely. Yeah. Good observations. I mean, people that I have worked with, and I love the people that come to me that say, I don't believe in any of this.
Oh my gosh, I love those too.
I don't believe in any of it. Okay.
Right, but I'm here.
But I'm here. Okay then, no problem. My nan was one such person. She's very old school, and you know, she had a series of strokes. And I said, Nan, let me perhaps do, you know, some healing on you. And she said, well, I don't believe in any of it, you know, Katie. And she, I would chuckle. I said, well, it's okay. You don't need to believe in any of it. So let's just try it. Let's just see if it works. We'll just take it as you go. And I remember 6 weeks later, she was passing by the window and she popped her head in and she went, it's working.
Oh. I love it.
You know, and she reported in that she was no longer clumsy in her fingers, because after the strokes, you know, she got very clumsy and she kept dropping things, and she was struggling to read because her eyesight had gone, and the struggle had gone, so she could read and she could do all of that. And so much so, she ended up actually taking Empower Thyself and getting initiated on her 8th birthday. Yeah. So, you know, those clients are fun because, you know, they don't have any expectations. So it's really actually easier to actually tell when something is changing, you know, in their life. And again, I think that goes back to, you know, don't believe us, just don't take our word for it, is try it. You know, give it a whirl. If it doesn't work, you haven't lost anything. I mean, the session is very relaxing and it's beautiful. So you're going to have a beautiful 1 or 2 hours with a really nice person. I mean, you know, that's no loss, is it?
Right.
You know, but, you know, in my experience of activating hundreds and hundreds of people, every single person has experienced some kind of change.
Definitely. Definitely.
So yeah, it's I think you know, being open to the possibility, even if you don't believe, and I think this is true of anything in life. If you're open to the possibility, open to the possibility that something could change or something could you know, happen, then that's a really good starting point. And again, for the people that are feeling overwhelmed, they're stressed, they're not well, a business is not doing well, or whatever it is, if you're open to the possibility and you're open to exploring, then that's half the battle. You know, it's when we start closing ourselves off and ultimately saying this doesn't work, this does work, this is how this is how this is, then you're limiting yourself in so many different areas of your life. Whereas just simply saying I'm open to the possibility this might be something that could make a difference, already you're winning.
Yeah.
Already winning.
This is a bit of a side track, not exactly, but kind of. But when you mention belief, because that's a really big one, you know, not only with people coming in for life activation or in-person healing, but distance healing. Like I do a lot of Spark of Life, and I know even more people who could benefit from Spark of Life, but they can't really grasp how distance healing works. So I tend to start talking about how the foundation is getting beyond the reality of the physical body and the acceptance that, you know, we are more than that and that there's energy and spirit. But I would love to hear your perspective on that.
It's an interesting concept, isn't it? Because what's stress? Is stress something that you can touch?
Oh,
Is it
it's so good.
You know, is it? Because people always say to me, oh, you know, I'm not sure if I believe in it. You know, I'm not sure it has any effect on the physical body. But yet we all know that the number one problem for heart failure is stress.
And so many other health issues.
And so many other health issues. Something that's non-physical, something that is not always present in the moment, or in that place, you know, in your home. Maybe the stress is at work and maybe not at home. But yet that stress still carries over into your home and still affects your physical body. So if that is the case, then we have to, as scientists, say, well, of course, the positive on the flip side must be true. Healing can also take place in a non-physical form to heal the physical body, because if stress can deplete it, then healing obviously can repair it. You can't have one without the other, I don't think, is my thinking.
That's that's great. I never thought about it that way, but it's very relatable and understandable.
Yeah. And I think everybody can relate to anxiety, distress, depression. They're all things that aren't you can't see them necessarily as such, but we all know when we have anxiety, it's painful. It can be painful. It can cause panic attacks. We all know depression can cause a whole host of different physical illnesses. So again, our hair falling out, or our skin. These are all things that happen. But again, I always like to think of that as a positive thought in a way, because if that's the case, then there has to be healing that can take place that's non-physical and powerful enough to repair it. And again, I am so grateful, that I found the mystery school for my own well-being and my own health, because I was able to repair myself very quickly with no long-term lasting damage that was going to, affect me in my old age, because, stress can do that. Long periods of stress or anxiety or depression, even if you can ride it out in your younger years, can really have a huge effect in your later years. So for me, that has been a blessing.
Okay, so the effects of stress, anxiety, and depression are also caused by a stimulation, which is generally related to, something you're experiencing in your life. So then healing, whether it's distance or in person, can also be caused or come from the stimulation of the intention of the person connecting with you to flow the energy. So it's the same thing, different sides of the spectrum. And so it's a blessing that we have both to experience both. And, you were talking about having healing as a blessing to be able to move through those things faster. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, our hope is that we don't have to go down the anxiety and the stress route. But of course, life is stressful. Life, we have obstacles, and we should have obstacles in our life so that we can grow. That's great. But then if we've got stresses in our life that are out of balance, and we're struggling with those, then we have healing, which we can utilize to help bring us back into the middle pillar and help us push through and overcome the obstacles, instead of getting paralyzed or crippled in that moment, or retreating, or taking, oh my goodness, moving to a place that we are not supposed to be in, that's not supporting our progression. So we can absolutely use all of these healing modalities to support us. And initiation, I'm talking about mystery school things, because they're the things that I would utilize.
Yes. Yeah.
So initiation, life activation, serving is a huge one. These are all things that again bring us back into alignment. It's like, boom, okay, and they help us overcome those challenges and obstacles. And if you have got extreme stresses in your life, then they're going to come in and they're going to be able to tackle them and push that back, so that you can actually breathe for a moment and then make a decision based on you being in the middle pillar, rather than you making a decision in a state of emotional overwhelm or extreme stress, because those decisions are never going to be good decisions,
right?
So yes, absolutely, we can use the healing meditation or healing to bring ourselves back. Boom, okay, now I can make a decision, and now I can go forward in my life.
I think that's also the beautiful thing about healing. I know with life activation specifically, as well as, initiation and, all of the tools, they not only are really great when you're in an acute situation, but they also help to change your baseline. So then you won't necessarily experience so much anxiety and depression or confusion, because you're already changing, your inner dynamic, your inner structure, so that you don't really, those things don't sit on you the way that they used to. And then, so yes, you can move through them quicker when you experience them, because they're not weighing you down. You're a bit more objective and aware, and then maybe, oh, let me go and use this tool. Let me, maybe receive a life activation tune up, or see what the next healing is in my process and my progression, so that you're also taking control of your well-being, which is what you were saying in the beginning, like to be aware and to be responsible for yourself and the way we're experiencing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't that so special?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just so special, because we actually get again, in the lineage, every session that we do or initiation affects our DNA. So it's cleaning it up. I use this word, cleaning it up. I'm sure there's a better word to use, but anyway, let's say it's a good one. Cleaning up the house. So you're never tackling a decision from that place of, you say you've got a really dirty room, and, and oh my goodness, I've got to try and, make a decision in this really messy room or whatever it is. And then you clean it up and things feel a lot better. It's like, oh yeah, now I can sit down, just have a little moment and I have a little think, and then let's make this decision. And because you've cleaned it up on the DNA level, you never have to go back to the dirty room making the decision. You just elevate it even more. So the next time you've brought in a few sparkly things into well, I'm going to say sparkly things because I like sparkly things into the room, a few nice little, whatever, just to lighten the room. And now I'm making a decision from more of a sanctuary. And we talk about this in the lineage as well. We work with the sanctuary, we work with our higher self for this purpose, is that ultimately we want to live life from the higher self, from this place, as you were saying, that, we have this base, we've moved our baseline. We've moved this level that we now make decisions from. It's elevated every single time. It doesn't come back, it doesn't go back down. And that's what I love about the lineage, is that that's the foundation, and you keep lifting up. You don't go below again. That's the level, because you've done the work at the DNA level. Whereas I found, in maybe other modalities, you could do a little bit of clean up, but the dust and the stuff just kept coming back, and piling on. So you couldn't quite do that. But and I think that's why it's so effective, because it is at the DNA level. It's working with us to elevate us into our divinity, into our state of royalty. And again, these are all words that your listeners might be thinking, what on earth is she talking about? But, but what that means is that the highest potential, your highest potential, what would you look like as a royal being or a divine being or a superstar, whatever you want to call it? It's that you living your best life, and living in joy.
Yeah. And when you have that as a framework, then it also affects how you approach your well-being. Because if you know that you're connected with your higher self and you desire to connect with your higher self, then maybe you'll look at your life as, how can I get closer to that? How can I achieve that? How can I live from my best self? So hopefully
it becomes, yeah, you're right. It becomes your framework. It just becomes, that's how we see the world, rather than, and going back to the original, I was there. I remember I couldn't even open the post at one point, the mail. I was that struck with anxiety and stress. I was a very successful entrepreneur, but it came at a cost. And I was at my capacity. I was at my mental, emotional, physical capacity. There was nothing else that could come into my world. I couldn't have healthy relationships. I couldn't have, my food choices probably weren't really that good. They weren't. My food choices weren't good. Everything wasn't good because I was so focused on being so successful, which I was in the eyes of material world, but it came at this this capacity. So I understand what it means when people say I can't even think past the next minute.
Right.
I get that. So it's important that we invest, just like you invest in a business, just like you invest in your car and your home and your whatever it is. We are the number one investment. And if you invest in yourself and your mental, emotional, your spiritual well-being, everything else falls into place. You will be successful in every area of your life. And I can attest to that, because when you're functioning at your optimum level and you have this framework of looking at things from that higher perspective, then you can make great choices in your business, great choices, relationships, great choices for your food, great choices for your, friends, everything comes into play. So that framework is really important, that we elevate ourselves all the time.
Because either way, we're creating our life. We are creating the structure of our life. So it's kind of, it's everyone's choice, really. So like, what do you choose for your life? What do you want to create for the walls, for the floor, the foundation? What do you want to be the paint and the colors and, all of it? Do you want it to be more representative of your higher self and your divine essence, or not? Not to name anything else, but do you or do you not? It's a choice, and it's available and very accessible.
Yeah, I agree. And again, that's the wonderful thing about life. It is our choice. We always have a choice. It's down to us. And for me, that is a really positive thing. For me, it's not, okay, these are the cards that I were dealt with. That's the way you've got to live your life. No, these are the cards that I was dealt with. And now I get to choose. I get to choose. Is it hard? Yeah. It's going to be hard. Is it rewarding? Yes, it's going to be rewarding. Is it an adventure? Yes, it is. Of course. And I often talk about, the mundane life and the mediocre life, and, how that was one of my biggest fears. I never wanted that to be the case. And, again, walking the path in the mystery school has cemented that everybody can have this amazing, like, whatever you choose, like you were saying, if your amazing life is living on the beach, painting, whatever it is, okay, go and do that. If that's your mission, if you're in alignment, if that's your mission, amazing, great. And lots of our colleagues, as we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but do amazing things. We have artists, we have musicians, we have scientists, we have business people, we have mothers, we have, all sorts of people all walking the same path, yet the results are this colorful arrangement of talent that is just fantastic. And again, going to prove that everybody has that opportunity. Everybody has that opportunity. And it always starts with the life activation, always starts with the life activation. And really why I am super passionate about the Healers Academy and helping people to learn how to do the life activation for others, because it's the one tool that helps us make that choice, have that clarity, clears the space, cleans the DNA, all the things that we've been discussing. It all starts from that point. So It's a very magical thing.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about Healers Academy, and I think people often wonder, okay, if I'm initiated into the mystery school, what is required of me? What does that mean for me? Or if I go to Healers Academy, does it mean I have to be a healer? Does it mean that I have to do this thing or that thing? And I really enjoy sharing with them that the path is about you becoming who you are. Your initiation, I generally say your requirement is to respect what what you receive, and to honor what you now have for yourself as a tool, for your own life. But also with Healers Academy, if you could have the option to help someone, why not? It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to go and become a healer and, it's now your job and, all these things. You go and live your life exactly in the way that is most aligned with you and your mission. And when you're feeling that freedom and that liberation and that joy, and then you come across someone else who could benefit from it, now you have the option of sharing that. Now you can use all the light that you're now carrying to spread it. And I just don't see anything, what's wrong with that, Why not?
I know, why wouldn't you? It's one of the things that's so interesting to me is that I come across hundreds of people, all hundreds and hundreds of people in my daily life, in various, whether it's through my company, Mini Me Yoga, whether it's through running the mystery school, UK, EU, whatever it is, in my personal life, whatever it is, every single one of those people are really good people. They're really good people, and they're really kind, and they're all, every single one without exception, wants to help, wants to make the world a better place. I have never met somebody who doesn't want that. And so for me, again, I go back to that being super effective, and super efficient.
Don't beat around the bush with it. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. It's like, for me, it's like, oh my goodness, go to Healers Academy and you can help those that are closest to you live the life that they are supposed to lead. And like you say, you don't have to become a healer and be, I don't know, I don't know what people think that healers do or what have you. But what I do know is that a lot of people come to Healers Academy, number one, because they want to receive healing for themselves. And Healers Academy is 5 days of being in that temple energy that we talked about, that very high vibrational energy. And when you're in that type of setting and you're learning and having this very a sacred tool handed down to you, as well as the aura healing and as well as the max med, you're receiving light at a capacity that's not possible outside in the world. This is, it's just incredible. So, if you're one of those people, if you say, oh, I'd love to go to a spa, or I'd love to go to a retreat, or I'd love to go to the beach for a week and do nothing, I'd love to do all these things. Can I just tell you, forget those.
Go to Healers Academy.
Come to Healers Academy, because the results are going to be longer lasting.
That's right. You
are going to receive healing as though you have been to 100 spas, and right. So the value for money, number one, fantastic. You're going to receive all this healing. You're going to receive lots of knowledge. You're going to be around amazing people, because, as I said, all the people that we meet are absolutely gorgeous and really want to help the world. So that's going to be fun in itself anyway. So you've got all this stuff going on. And then on top of all that, you receive an initiation to help you hold and anchor all that light in your own life, which means that you can heal 100 times more quickly. You can manifest 100 times more quickly. You can, bring light into every situation that you have in yours and your family's life, 100 times more quickly. On top of all that, you can then, if you so choose, actually share that light and help somebody else get back into alignment, so they remember what they're going to be, they can, their piece of the puzzle, they can live on their beach or their, whatever they're going to be doing, and so even if you came and you don't expect to activate anybody and you just receive healing for yourselves, I know that once you've been through that process, you absolutely want to activate your family and friends. Yeah. It's just, of course. So for me, again, it's a no-brainer, because I, wanted to heal myself. And I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to reach my full potential. And I didn't want fear or anxiety or illness in my life anymore. And so I chose Healers Academy, and it was the best choice that I ever made. Did it stretch me? Did I feel uncomfortable at times? Yes, I did. I never thought that I was going to be a healer. I never thought that I was going to do all the things that that I do now. But what I knew is that anything that was going to take me closer to me being well on all levels, that's what I wanted. And Healers Academy is that, so, for, doesn't matter what your reason is, it's going to deliver, in all areas. And it will surprise you, because it will always give you more than you expect, because it's magic.
It's magic. That's right. The beauty of lineage. There's one more thing in that wonderful list that you said that I think is really amazing about attending Healers Academy. Well, two things. One is lighter. It's that being around so many people who have that desire, like the genuine, heartfelt desire to help others, is life-changing in itself. Because in our lives, everything that we're surrounded by it can be pretty negative. It can be stressful. It's very, it can be mundane. All these, everyone's just sort of in the rat race of life. But I find that every time I go to program and experience all those people who really have beautiful hearts and want to help the world, that alone changes your perception of what's possible. That alone you can go home and feel like there is more, there is hope, like something is possible, because you've now experienced it on a mass level with people from around the world, and that alone is just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my goodness. And I don't know if you find this, but it still blows my mind, because I still go.
And it's new people, and it never stops.
And it's like, oh my goodness. And again, I'm from the UK. I can't speak for everybody that's from the UK, but we're not generally huggers. We're not generally, we're not generally overly emotional people. We're not, maybe I am speaking for myself. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit old school. But we're kind of reserved, and, but in Healers Academy and all of those places, the heart just flies open, and you cannot deny it. It's like, oh my goodness, this is just, I actually want to give you a hug, and I want, I want to talk to you, and I want to understand you. I want to know, about your life and why you're here, and how we can do this together. It's just so tremendous. I love that part. It's community, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's the basic of Shambhala. And that's, we talk about, in Hermetics, we talk about the 7 principles: so within, so without, as above, so below, the microcosm, the macrocosm. And so when in Healers Academy, this is what's happening. We're all coming together in unity, and genuinely, my goodness, we have a common mission. We're from different parts of the world, and we have different languages. We have all these different differences, but we're coming together in this mission that we actually just want to make a difference, and we actually care about people, or we care about our family and friends, and we just want to help. And when we come together with that mission, that's Shambhala, that's it. So that's the microcosm, and then that ripples out into the macrocosm. And so we can have Healers Academy everywhere happening on the planet all at the same time, permanently being in awe of each other and being, heart opening, and actually enjoying each other and trusting each other, and, having fun together. So again, that's another reason why Healers Academy is so important. I mean, I think I'm giving a little bit away about the magic behind the scenes here, probably.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, but it's good what you said so far, because I realize we're also talking about people who casually enter Healers Academy, and there's also people who want to be healers. There's people who desire to be healers. I've been coming across a lot of people who are working in the spiritual space and realizing something's missing. So I also think it's important to say this exists. And this is a wonderful way, like the next step, if you desire to be a healer, if you desire to really help change the world and move things forward, Healers Academy is a great option.
Yeah, as we said, most efficient, effective way to help your clients shift into their purpose, into their divinity, into their, to fulfill their contracts, to be in alignment. My goodness, it is absolutely the number one tool I have as a healer, as a doctor of natural medicine, as a businesswoman, all of those areas of my life. I always say to people, have you had a life activation?
Yeah, right.
If I'm doing business mentoring, I'm like, have you had a life activation? If I, whatever challenge I'm, faced with, somebody's telling me about the challenge that they're being faced with, should I say, that's my response. And I know it's going to deliver. Because I know it's going to deliver, I always recommend it.
Yeah. And for the person, it delivers for, I know we said this before, but I'm going to reiterate it, that it delivers for the recipient and for the practitioner. And that is another really beautiful thing about the entire lineage, as well as Healers Academy and everything that we do. Everything is about your own becoming. And your own becoming is what allows you to then share. It's not just going learn a modality and then you do it. You become that light. You become, the more you step into your divine self, your essence, the more you are empowered to then help someone else. So everyone's moving along at the same time.
Yeah, this is really important, actually, and again, just to reiterate it, the secret of success is service. This is the secret. There's not, we talk about the path, and we talk about the way, and all these different types of things, and there's not just one path or one way to the top of the mountain. There are many. However, I don't think I can name one person that we can see in our history that has achieved enlightenment that hasn't been in service. And ultimately, enlightenment, again, for people that perhaps don't have a understanding, that's the inner peace, that's joy, that's being at one with yourself and having everything that you desire, and being total alignment with your will, God's will, universe will, whatever terminology you want to call it. That is enlightenment, to have that. And so there isn't one, I don't believe, I haven't come across one person that's achieved enlightenment that hasn't been in full service. So, in Healers Academy is extremely important in our lineage, because when we take these steps, we have the life activation, we receive the light, we receive the awakening of our DNA, our full potential. And then, we can step into Empower Thyself initiation. We receive tools on how to manage our own energy structure and how to keep balanced, how to set our temple our home as a temple, high vibrational setting, so that we can always make these decisions from a good and balanced, place. So we're doing all of these things. So we go back to that framework where we're elevating all the time, and then we must be able to share that with others through service. And that's why Healers Academy is the next step, and second step, initiation. Because when we start to share that light in that way, and service is when we help another person progress to their higher self, their God self, their divinity. Again, let's keep the terminology broad. It's helping them progress. It's not just being a good and kind person, because we can all do that anyway. I know all of your listeners are good and kind people anyway, so we've got that covered. We've got that nailed. But now we need to help people progress like somebody helped us progress, so that we can heal, so that we can achieve greatness, all that kind of stuff. So when we share the life activation with others, we're doing that. We receive the light through us, and then we share it with another. And in that moment and in that process, we begin to learn about ourselves. Because of that light, we can see and know ourselves through the reflection of others, and we can start to clean up the issues in our life or in our being that we couldn't see before. It brings in so much light, and it's almost like being in a, with lots of spotlights all the way around us, and mirrors, and you can see everything. It's like, oh, I didn't realize I had a sticker on my, on my back there. Oh, I'm going to pull that off. Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't realize I had this here. And so all of a sudden, through that service, you start to see every part of you, so that you can clean yourself up, take the stickers off, or, whatever it is. And then, of course, going back to the framework, we elevate, and we don't drop back down. We keep going. So it's through that service is how we actually achieve a full enlightenment or greatness. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's really great. It's really amazing. I think it's really amazing stuff, and I was thinking as you were talking about how, I know when I'm doing the life activation and any healing really, but especially that, how it's moving out the heaviness that I might feel, or, the stagnation that I might feel. And then you come out of it and you feel so good. And I think that's also part of knowing yourself through service, because, you're knowing who you are in the light.
It's, I said this to somebody the other day. It's so funny. They were asking, what my number one, what do I do if I feel down, or if I feel a little bit not 100%? I said, oh, I do a life activation for somebody. Yeah. I am right as rain afterwards. I'm completely cleared up, feel great, ready to go. So that's my number one secret. It's not so secret now because I've told everybody. But.
I know, it's fine. It doesn't need to be a secret. That was something that I experienced when I moved down to New Orleans, because, I was here by myself. I didn't have, colleagues or peers or anything. I couldn't necessarily receive healing. Plus, I was going through moving and, my health stuff and all the things. And I would notice that if I went about 2 weeks without serving, without doing a healing for someone, without doing a life activation, I would get so heavy and down. And I only learned that through doing it and being like, oh, wait, so my limit is about 2 weeks. And I found that really fascinating.
It is tremendous. And another funny story that when I started serving at this level, my company, Mini Me Yoga, started to grow exponentially.
Oh, wow.
And, so me being human, being an entrepreneur. Oh, okay. So maybe I'm going to focus all my energy on Mini Me Yoga now, because it's really successful. And then when I've got time, I'll do the service. So this is what I did. And I focused on Mini Me Yoga, and guess what? My business started to go, ooh.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here? So I thought, okay, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to, because we're metaphysicians, we're scientists, I'm going to experiment. So I went back and I thought, no, I'm going to focus on my service because that's what brings me joy. It makes me feel really good. All the things that we talked about, let's just do that. It's fine. I did that and my company went whoop again.
Wow.
So
As
every
within,
area,
so without.
yeah, and that's what we were talking about. Every area, it doesn't matter, what decisions you make, however small, it will ripple across all all areas of your life. And when you're serving, it's exactly the same. When you are serving at that level, it will influence every single part of your life, and be it it creates huge success, in whether it's just having a great business, or a great relationship or whatever it is. Yeah.
We've said so many amazing things already. I want to ask you if there's any parting word that you have for the listeners, but I don't know. There's been so much good said.
Don't delay.
Mm.
Get your life activation.
Or get
Treat
another one if it's
yourself.
been too long.
Oh yeah, treat yourself. Don't delay. Gift yourself. Know that you are the number one investment, and treat yourself well. Treat yourself like the king or queen that you really are. Invest in your wellness, your spiritual, journey, whatever that might be. And make sure that you have joy. Make sure that it's bringing you joy and giving you an opportunity and a chance to share joy with others, and also to progress. I think, if those are things in your life, if those are things that that you get an opportunity to have, and they bring those things in your life, then it's a win-win. And have fun. We only get one whirl at this.
That's right. That's right. And that one whirl can be dynamic, vibrant, illuminating, enlightening, and all the amazing things. As long as we make the choice to heal, the choice to know ourselves, the choice to progress. And when we say progress, I like to say, we're always moving in some direction, but progressing is like moving forward and upward. You're changing your baseline, you're having new experiences, you're elevating the level of those experiences, towards the light, towards our true selves, our higher self, like we mentioned. And these are keys for you to live a more wonderful, joyful life. So we hope that you explore healing. We can put the links for the Modern Mystery School so that you can find a life activation practitioner or a guide in your area. Davina Kate is working in the UK. I'm here in New Orleans. It's a lovely state of Louisiana. And there's someone near you, almost absolutely. So we'd love for you to explore and experience these wonderful tools that we're talking about. And yeah, like the channel, come back for the show. I loved having you here, Davina Kate. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. I love talking about healers and life activation and all this. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. It's a real honor. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure that it's going to serve so many people, having this opportunity to hear and to connect with you and feel your energy.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Till next time.